All right. Well, I want to welcome you to Graceful Re-Emergence. It is the 2-year anniversary of my book release. And you may not have heard, but it went, I released the book late October and went into book promotion. And of course, for the holidays, I had super cool book signings at the Barnes and Noble in the area for the Christmas season. And I had a whole bunch of stuff lined up. And with an unexpected illness and death followed immediately by a pandemic, everything came to a screeching halt. And it felt probably a lot like many of us, where we just, we were reeling and we felt kind of chided, something like it wasn't right. So we missed out on something that could have and should have been. And so as I was thinking about this early in the month, I thought, I really want to celebrate grace again. We're ready. The world is ready to reemerge and to do that in a graceful manner. So that's what I'd like to talk about right now, is the graceful reemergence, like giving ourselves permission to be seen, to reemerge differently, to realize that we went into this whole thing, as a caterpillar and not really understanding that we were the caterpillar. And now we have the choice to allow the cocoon to fall away. Welcome, Jackie. So the first thing, actually, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Marita Rollenbeck. I am a soul mentor, transformational coach, author, and I call myself the keeper of the sacred. I bring the sacred into everything I do, into everything I teach, and I hope that comes through to you as we are celebrating throughout the day. So to reemerge from that cocoon state can be kind of scary. It's like, I've never had these wings before. I don't know how to fly. I don't know how to trust that I'll be able to fly. I don't know how to even trust that I can do this thing called life in this new way. You may have had a death in the family during this time. It doesn't even matter if it's during this time. There is a loss, and the loss is it's visceral, be it a person or a pet. It doesn't matter. Talking about the pandemic, we've had a lot of loss around that. Freedom, lifestyle. I was talking with someone and she said, we have to learn how to hug again and not be afraid. These very simple things that we didn't know what we didn't know a year ago or 18 months ago. Everything it was just like, stop. And we were just told how to be safe through a lens that was very muddy. So when you've had that kind of practice of like, do I dare hug you? For as long as we've had that, it's a new thing. I don't know why, Jerry, you are highlighted. I don't have you pinned.
Is there something you need me to do?
I don't know. I don't know how it's recording. But I pinned myself now so people hopefully see me on the recording. So we'll see. At any rate, that's kind of the conversation today about re-emerging, or as Jackie will talk about in a little bit, she's going to talk about how as I was going through the process with Grace being so sick, she was in her own little whirlwind with her dog. And we all have comfort when we know that we're not alone in this, be it the death of a pet, the death of a spouse, even knowing that someone who just suffered a loss. It doesn't even have to be related. There is this void, and somehow it all just trickles down into the energy field, if you will. So let me see. Okay. This is all new to me. Gotta bear with me. So what I wanted to start with is actually reading one of my favorite chapters in my book. And it's called The Tapestry. I just grabbed this book off the shelf. So it's brand new. And after today, at the end of the day, I'm going to have a drawing and someone's going to win this copy that was part of this whole wonderful celebration. So the chapter is called The Tapestry, and Grace really talked a lot about the tapestry, and I love the analogy. So at the beginning of every chapter, I have a quote, either from myself or Grace, and I think one or two might actually be by some poet. But today, this quote is, "Every pause step forward is part of that journey of living with grace." When Grace first explained the tapestry to me, this is what she said. "My story is a story of love. It's a path of love. Every step we take, every pause step forward, every choice, decision, thought, everything is part of that journey of living with grace. It doesn't stop when you die. It never stops, ever. It's a continuum. Whether it's a pause step forward, because pause steps are smaller than human steps, whether it's a little step or a big step, it doesn't matter. It's part of the journey. It's part of the tapestry." Grace talked a lot about the tapestry of life. It's the whole picture, the art, the beauty of life, and what it is. It's the whole. While we are in life, making each choice and going down the path that leads from one choice point to another, those are known as the weft. They are us making choices. Good ones, poor ones, it doesn't really matter. They are the choices which take us on our life journey. The warp, or stationary yarn, is soul and is always there. It is a rock of confident knowing. It is confident grace. It never doubts why it is here or what it came to learn. Our soul allows us our humanness and our choices. And when we allow and ask, the soul answers. The warp, our divinity, is all we know before we incarnate into physical form. The warp is divine perfection. Once we come into the physical, the weft begins to create our picture. This is when our tapestry begins. We are now independent beings capable of making choices and going along the path our choices lead to. When we make a less than perfect choice, typically we are not listening to our higher knowing. If we're not listening and continue to make the same choice from habit rather than truth, life happens. Sometimes there's a catastrophe, injury, or accident. It is in those moments that we are forced to go still, because at that point, there is no choice. When there has been injury, there is a corresponding recovery period. If it's a sprained wrist, broken toe, head injury, or something even more severe, there's always a corresponding healing that is necessary. Everything else, everything you thought was important before this incident, now becomes faded and its importance diminished. Those are the wefts of our tapestry. These wefts create the picture of our life. Many times our wisdom and our deepest learning comes from these episodes. Where we go during these times is the dark night of the soul. The dark night of the soul is a place of deep spiritual learning. It is a deep learning where everything else falls aside, and the only thing that matters is healing, taking care of our body, returning to a thriving whole state. When Grace lay on the side of the road, she didn't say, "Let me die." Instead, she said, "Get me to the next place so I can get out of this. Get me to the next place so I can get out of this, and to the next, and so on." She knew at that juncture that these choices, these decisions were being made on her behalf, but she had to trust because she had no strength. She didn't really have a say unless she gave in to death. And yet, the fascinating thing is she didn't. She didn't give in to death. How many times in her short life could she have relinquished and let go and gone to the other side? How many times could she have made that choice and taken that weft in the road that would have taken her home to wholeness? She feared death because she had not yet made peace with her life. She had not yet made peace with her life. I find that so profound. There was a part of her deep down that knew she needed to find her way to me. She said herself, "I didn't have a name, I didn't have a face, but I was looking for soul signature." She was looking for an energetic pattern, and that's where Aria came in. We do not create our tapestry by ourselves. We are not the only ones holding the yarn. Other people come along with different color. They weave it into our warp and it becomes a beautiful image or a black shadow. With each yarn of bright, beautiful color or the dark shadow of that warp in that color of yarn, those are the points to continue. Do we choose to continue this relationship and continue to weave the darkness? Or do we choose to move forward with joy and flow with color? It is up to us to keep choosing people and opportunities that enhance our tapestry, that make us stronger and better, and that make us more of our soul essence. Aria brought her beautiful colored yarn to Grace, and together they brought those threads into my tapestry. Together, we created a beautiful picture. Aria helped facilitate Grace and me finding each other. I was so wholly in the flow of allowing that to unfold in the most natural way. I knew in the depth of my belly that that pregnant cat that had been hit by a car was my cat. And I would adopt one of her kittens. I didn't need a photograph. I needed nothing. But I did need her to have her kittens so that I could bring Grace and Aria home. The first time I saw Grace, I remember that. She was a shy cat. And I have no idea, but I was kind of afraid. I don't know why, but I was kind of afraid and intimidated by her. I was in awe of her beauty, and maybe I just understood at some level the trauma that she had gone through. I've always been cognizant of other people's pain and not wanting to intrude upon it, but wanting to be respectful. I've always given people their space. So perhaps there was a little bit of that with this cat. I do remember seeking her out downstairs at the foster home because she went downstairs as all the kittens came upstairs. And I later learned that that was the first time they actually climbed stairs. She was all by herself, and I was still feeling her heaviness. Was it sorrow, pain, exhaustion? She was more hurt than we ever grasped. I dared to touch her, and I thanked her. Oh my gosh, and I thanked her for having her kittens. Okay. See she's been gone 4 years. I think it's been 4 years. And she's just, oh, mom. She's like, mom. Do I have a picture of her? You would think I would have a picture of her. I've been rearranging my office. I don't. That's really sad. It's on the book. She had this, she was hit by a car, obviously, because you just heard that. And she had one eye, and there was a little kind of spinal thing going on. So she had this funny little way of being. And I just love this photograph. And I just literally, when the book cover options came through, when I saw that, oh my God, my cat is on this book, I just started crying. It's like, oh my God, Grace, we really did write a book. So, oh my gosh, I totally got off track. So at the end of every chapter is a it's a your turn. It's a reflection, an opportunity for you to journal, to muse, to really kind of be with a question or a series of questions. And so I'm going to read this to you, and you can ponder that on yours. If you want to talk about it, we can talk about it. So the weft and the warp, if I used to weave, so this really resonated with me, and maybe that's why she used that. The weft are the threads that weave our life experience, and the warp is divine for perfection. So when you are, if you think about, like, my dad actually made me a frame. It was a big like box, if you will, with like whatever 1x8s. They weren't even 2x6s or we have to do a drawing. But anyway, so he had this frame, and he had nails all the way on, all along the top and the bottom. And then I did the yarn, right? All like that. And that is what doesn't move. That's the part that's divinity. That's it doesn't move. It's always there. And how you choose to make the picture, right? That is our life. That is our choices. And so here's what I have for you to ponder. I invite you to take a look at your life up to this moment. Who has brought you colorful threads? And who has brought you dark colored threads? Look at the pictures in your mind's eye and just choose one to focus on. Who brought you the colorful threads? And feel that person, or maybe it's a group. Feel the experience. What does it feel like? Do you find yourself smiling? Do you feel your eyes light up? Who's around you? Do you feel joy and gratitude? And maybe you feel endless happiness. Write about it. Take note of anything that comes up. And as you write, you may find that you remember more details. I challenge you to write that person a note of gratitude. Send it in the mail. Make it tangible. Put it in a bright colored envelope. You know what I bought? Oh, I don't have that handy either because I'm still redoing my I'm redoing my office. I bought really bright colored envelopes. Like you would not miss it if it was in your box. You may find yourself being drawn to the dark colored threads. Perhaps it's a painful memory or experience that needs to be healed. Look at the pain full on. This will help with the healing. What does it feel like? What happened that hurt? Move past the need to blame. Seek grace and forgiveness. Write about it. Emote about it. Seek help if it's required. Heal. Make healing your priority over the need to be right. So that is the chapter on the tapestry. And if any of you want to ask something or make an observation, I am all for that.
I enjoyed your reading, and the questions afterwards really did make me think about different groups and situations, and made me think of a situation that I do need to heal from.
Okay. We all have those. So that's, if it comes up, if it comes into your awareness, especially something that's like, this is passive, right? It's not like you've been triggered. It's just like, oh, you're ready. You're ready to deal with it. And, sometimes we're just not ready, but when we are ready on a deeper level, then it's easier to attain that which we need. Does that make sense?
Yes, I feel like I am ready.
Yay.
And just have been holding on to this for some reason, because it's not something I need to be holding a place in my mind. But for some reason, I can't move past it. And so I definitely need to work to move past it and get it out of that space.
Right. Because once it's dissolved, if you will, and it no longer triggers or causes sadness or all of that, it releases, and it becomes this neutral event. And then you have less emotional clutter. It opens up a space for you to bring that bright colored thread in, right? You've let that go, it's done. And now you can choose an experience or a person or something with the bright colored threads, and you've got the capacity to actually do that, right? You might be ready, but you're not ready. You might be ready, but you don't have the bandwidth because it's clogging up the pipes.
Yes.
So yeah, it's always a good time to deal with our stuff. Oh, wonderful. This has been fun. Okay, so I'm going to pull a name as to, maybe we should talk about what they're going to get. So I have 3 minerals, and I think we'll just, whatever's this. So I didn't even have time to really like what is the medicine of this, but green calcite. I don't know if you watched the short video, if you saw the short video I did the other day, but I have two boxes, one each, like one with green calcite and one with honey calcite. And I bought those for beautiful like bowls as giveaways at my book events. I had this all planned. It was just like, yeah. And so I'm going to give away now. So for green calcite, and then I have to have a system here, green calcite, and to choose a name. So let's see. Oh, and how you get your name in the bowl is by registering. So all of you that registered, even though you're not here live, you get an entry. Those of you that are here live on Zoom get a second entry. And we have Emmer Solvin. I don't know who that is or how they found me, but congratulations. And we'll have to I'll have to get your address. So let me what I want to do is I want to end the recording